well, we've had Ignite, and then Ross was here last week. Who was here last week? Okay, how was that with goal setting? Oh, and okay, wait. Grady, I don't think we've met.
We have not. Last week was my first week of coaching.
Ah, how was it?
It was awesome. Ross was awesome. He went into detail on everything. I think we ran long too, so it was good. It was a lot of ideas out there and a lot of help being given.
Good, good. And Teresa, I've met you.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with Grady that Ross was really good. Yeah.
Good, because he went over the advanced planning, what we do in our team. And so literally, I run the sales team. So all of these packets came to me and I was able to review them. And I think going over everything, it's so important to know what your one thing is for 2021. And that's the bottom line. What is it? And it's different for every single person. Some were very specific. I want to sell 40 units. That's it. That's my one thing. So that's all that's what their goal is. This one was a good one, and I'll share with you, if you want me to, some of the one things from our team. So it might help you set up for yourself. Let me go grab those. Hold on. So for one person on our team who's been with us for quite a while, her one thing is to be present in the business when working and then present in my social life when I'm off the clock. Try not to let the two bleed into each other. I know that sounds crazy, but I think as you want the two to bleed into one another, I think that once you get to a certain level where you're so busy, and you may not believe it, but it's going to happen to you, to set boundaries for yourself. And I think that's one of the hardest things to do. And you really can't your first couple years. It's just going to bleed into each other. At some point, though, you need to set boundaries for yourself and your family. In this business, you just can't put your phone down. And believe me, I see it on the other side where the co-broke, whoever I'm dealing with, is putting their phone down and you never hear from them. So you can't do that, but you can have limits to what's a 911 and what's a 411 to get back to somebody. So that will come with time. Another priority was attack my database. So that was their number one thing for 2021. Reach $5 million goal. That was another one from our team. Sell 40 units. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you that's on here, what is your one thing for 2021? And we'll start out with Bridget.
I did the goal planning. Actually, I made my husband do it with me too. I think he thought that was kind of fun.
Love it.
My one thing is, I don't know if this is the right one thing. Basically, I want to soak up as much information as I can and become the expert in my field.
Okay,
But that's maybe not narrowed down enough. Okay, my one thing is automate.
okay, and elaborate on that.
I feel like when I start off, if I get everything, my routine, my things set in order, my technology in place, I'll get myself set up for success that will last years to come. Get, the contacts organized, start good habits. And so that, I guess, is my one thing for my first year, is that if I get things set up correctly for success, it'll just, is that a thing? Or
Yeah,
should I just say
so
like
could
6
it
million?
be, could it be, let's see, use command and have knowledge of command in its fullest? Because command is going to set you up with your database and your drip campaign and all of that. So maybe it would be a deadline of, I'm going to have command mastered by, such and such a date, February 1st, even if it's that, give you a little bit. Because then once you get command mastered and everything that it can do, then you go out and you sell. So just a warning, you definitely need all of that, but don't get caught up in that, because I see it a lot where people get caught up in, and a lot of agents don't like it, the menial, those tasks that you have to do, but then they don't go any further than that. And I'm not saying that you would, Bridget, but how people are addicted to training, and they never take the
You have no
training
clients,
up.
but you know how to send a newsletter or something.
Right. So I think that's great, but I also want you to think of what is and I'm always thinking units,
Okay.
because we can control the units, but we cannot control the volume, period, the end. And it took me a long time to wrap my head around that. So if your units are, I'm going to sell 12 units a year, that's one sale a month.
Mm-hmm.
If that's all you do, if that's what, that is huge. If you do that, that's huge. That is, you can see it. I'm going to sell 1 unit a month. If I don't have a closing in January, guess what? I have to make that up in February. I have to close on 2 units in February. So I got to be honest, from the very beginning, that's all I concentrated on. How the hello dolly am I going to do that? And I will claw my way to figure it out. Seriously, I will do every single open house I can get my hands on. Now, this is tougher now. I will call everyone in my database and find out if they know somebody that's looking to buy or sell. I just won't stop. I won't stop until I have a live person in my hand, because it's a numbers game, you guys. The more you work on your database, and whether that's emailing for you or texting or calling or a combination of whatever works for you, whatever you feel really comfortable doing, then do it. That's it. That's the bottom line. Just do it. So having a very concrete visual goal is going to help you move along. All right. I don't know if Kevin, hi. Oh, I think you're muted.
Hey, there you go. Hi. So my one thing, I have a pretty lofty financial goal.
Good.
I just need to figure out how to get there. So I know the resources that were talked about last week, which last week was my first time to join in.
Yeah, I thought I didn't recognize you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't received those financial tools yet, as far as how to set those goals. So I'm actually going to pick up the Millionaire Real Estate Agent today from the office. They said they're getting a shipment in.
Yep.
So that should help me to calculate, back back into what do I need to do in order to reach my goal.
Right.
But I'm coming from banking. I was in banking for 20 years, and I left banking in 2018 to start my own business, and that didn't work.
Okay.
And then I got my real estate license in Oklahoma, and by the time I got my license, I kind of ran out of money from my other business, so I had to get a job, and then COVID hit.
Oh my God.
I know. So I was selling cars and COVID hit, and I was like, oh, screw it. So I just moved home to Wisconsin. So I just got my Wisconsin license.
So, so where do you live here in Milwaukee?
Mequon.
Mequon. Okay. All right. So you have family here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I live at home with my parents, and that's wonderful at 50.
Hey, we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah. You know what? It's actually been a good move. They need me. I need them. There's plenty of room for me. So.
And you know what? I think if anything, if this year has proven that family is so important right now, you know, we're living so close to each other. It's an experience in itself. I'm sure you're all experiencing that. But I think it can be a lot of good things too. So,
Oh yeah.
Well, welcome.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And let's go to Grady.
So it's very ironic that you did say 12 units within a year, because when Ross was on last week, I told him that was my 2021 goal, like at least one transaction a month. And if I can't get that transaction, to like, you know, make up for it in the following month. So that's definitely my one thing for 2021, transaction a month.
Love it. And what's your background, Grady? You're brand new?
Brand new, yeah. So I got my license about, I would say 2 weeks ago. Everything just cleared about last week. Coming from a service industry background for like the last 6.5 years or so. But I've had a few friends that are, you know, in real estate, and then, you know, pushed me to always do it over the last, you know, 5 years. And then finally, Newbie was that final push to, you know, get me over with Keller and, you know, pursue a business in this.
Awesome. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have Jackie. Hey, Jackie.
Hey.
We're talking about what is your one thing for 2021?
Oh, my one thing, well, we just discussed this. So you and me, Janine, and my one thing for 2021 is to attack my database harder than I have already. And just really, really hone in on that database, because I have quite a few contacts that I can get clever with.
All right. So when you say hone in on your database to help others on this call, what does that mean? What are you going to do with that?
Well,
'Cause I want to know.
Well, one thing is I do a lot of social media, and I would really like to have more interactive content with the users. I think that I'm really good at posting and keeping my image and brand in the forefront of, you know, followers and things, but I don't have that interaction quality yet. And so I really want to work on that with 2021 and moving forward that way. Also, I feel being a newer agent, I have a method of reaching out to my leads, like, you know, once a week, you know, personally by like text and something that's really signature to them. It's not just like a copy paste like text.
Right.
And then a once a month newsletter that I send out to them as well. And I feel like moving forward, that list is only going to grow of these, you know, strong leads or even soft leads. And I want to really stay on top of that. So one of my big goals is to really be understanding command better and getting into drip campaigns so that I can get a little bit more automated, because I don't think I spend a lot of time right now on doing these personal touches, but I think that I will be spending a lot of time on it as this database / like leads grows longer.
Perfect. Does that all sound good to you? Did you get all that? Okay, good. Now let's move to Celia. Good morning.
Morning. Hi. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties getting.
Oh, don't worry about it. So the question is, what is your one thing for 2021?
My one thing for 2021. I guess it would have to be lead gen.
Okay.
Seems like it's the most important thing to do. So focusing on systems for lead generation and following them.
Okay. Sounds good. How about Teresa?
How you doing, Janine?
How you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a retired teacher. I just retired in May.
Okay.
And so I joined Keller Williams. I took my test in December, I think, and joined right in January. Since then, so when I joined in January, I retired in May. I joined KCN with Kevin Gardy, so I'm on that team.
Got it. Great.
I have three, what do I call them? I have 3 completed transactions to graduate. My goal was to have my 5. And so, it's been difficult with COVID, learning real estate,
Yep.
and everything.
Yep.
But I've just kind of been pushing through, staying with you, staying with KG, and growing with my team.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm on my 4th transaction. I was trying to give myself a Christmas present of 5 transactions by Christmas, but hey, we'll see what happens.
Awesome.
Most of my listings have come. We've talked about this condos. So I sold 2 condos and had 1 buyer so far. So not bad. I just think I'm learning and doing.
Good.
So with the KCN team, we did the 135. And so I had to set 3 priorities and then strategies to go with those priorities. So my main goal, Janine, for next year is to sell 15 units by December 31st, 2021. And I broke them down into 10 listings and 5 buyers.
Got it.
So my priority 1, and I'll go through this quick. My priority 1 was to use leads from my Sphere and my database, and we use Brivity in that team.
Okay.
So they do offers leads. So I figured that 5 of my strategies would be to capitalize on coaching opportunities so that I can grow in the area, utilize my database with Command and Brivity by making sure that I have the email addresses and phone numbers of my people in there, continue reading my MRA book, learn systems to nurture, contact, follow up, and convert. And then after graduating from lunch, my treat is going to be to hire an assistant. Then my priority 2 is open houses. So generate new leads through open houses, target a specific area, generate marketing pieces for open houses through my KCN team. They have playbooks in my team. So just use those playbooks for instructions to average 2 to 5 open houses per month, and to door knock prior to the open houses. And my final one was to utilize social media, and then just generating leads through social media and use my social media. Utilize Facebook ad leads with KCN and try to convert those. So that was a lot, but that's kind of what I've been working on for my goal for 2021. Oh, I should say goals.
And that is awesome because it's very specific. So my advice to you is to take all of that and put it on a calendar.
Oh, yeah.
By day, by hour. So then you are time blocking those activities. Otherwise, it's too ambiguous. It's too big. You chunk it down.
To chunk it down. Mhm.
Chunk it down for the day, for the week, for the month.
Yep. I know Ross last week kind of talked to us about that, but you had a tool for that. And I'm not sure if you're going to share with us, Janine. I think those daily tools he shared with us. I forget.
I'll find out what it was.
Yeah.
What I do, and I think a lot of people on our team do, we start with a blank weekly calendar.
Oh, okay.
And we sit down, well, most of us Sundays. I do it. I've been doing it for 7 years, Sunday night. And I literally handwrite it in there because I that's how I operate. Put all of my activities that I need to do to create business, and I put those in first. And they're pretty much all the same time. So I know exactly what I'm doing. Then I do all my listing and buyer appointments around that because I'm not touching my time. And, I put my obligations, my family obligations in first because family's first. Then I put in my daily, I have to do this to generate business. And then I plug in my appointments. So it's very boring. It's very simple. It takes me now 5 minutes. And then I transfer it to my electronic calendar because I share it with so many people on the team. But it's a really good habit to pare it down on a daily, weekly, monthly basis because then you'll reach your goal. And then
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thomas. Hi.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, where do I start? I've been in academia for the last 20 plus years. I was taught writing. I'm also an academic librarian.
Wow.
And, teach research methodology. I'm really anxious to get into the MLS because research is one of my strong points. I mean, that's what I did for many, many, many years. So anyways, I'm at the end of my career. I'm looking at retiring. And so I want this to be able to replace the income that I had through, through the college.
Sure.
And so I'm brand new. I just passed my exam on the 9th of October. So I'm like brand new, fresh out of the box. I just met with Kevin Gardy yesterday. I'm going to be joining his team.
Okay.
And so my goals, I missed last week's Wednesday, the productivity training. Thursdays is the one day that I have to be on campus. We're working from home at the library.
Oh, okay.
So I've missed a lot of these productivity meetings on Thursdays because I have to be on campus that day. But I took a day's vacation specifically so I could come and be on this Zoom call today.
Good.
The goals that I've set for myself for next year. Originally, when I started this, I was just interested in replacing the income that I was making, which I could do with 1 unit per month. So that's kind of my goal as far as income is concerned is, but
12 units.
The potential is to make much more here, but my main goal is to generate the income so I can pull the cork on the college. So I'm ready to do that.
Perfect. If anyone did miss last week and they want my 2021 planner,
That would be great.
just email me and I'll put my email address on the chat right now. And I will get it out to you immediately.
That would be great.
Oh, it went in privately because I've been typing privately with, I'm jwerner.com, jwerner.com.
I'm sorry, could you give that to me again? J?
Yep, and I'll put it on here again. J Werner, JWERNER @kw.com.
Right.
So if you want that, I will send, because honestly, it's a great thing to do. It kind of gets your head straight. But awesome. Nice meeting you and congratulations.
Thank you. The other thing is just learning the jargon. You know, it's like I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I mean, there's so much stuff to learn.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just learning the jargon, that just listening to people's conversations today on the Zoom, it's like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of jargon in this industry that I need to learn. So
It is like drinking out of a fire hose. When I started 7 years ago, I gotta be honest, I was so overwhelmed. I had no idea what I was doing.
oh, good.
Absolutely no idea. And I was working with Jay, who was somewhat new as well. And I just remember coming home every single day so exhausted. My head hurt. I mean, I just thought I can't put anything more up here because I don't have any room left. And I know I've said this 1,000 times of those of you who've been on this call, but I remember my dad saying to me, you know what, Janine? It's the same if you were starting a new job at McDonald's. It's not your environment. You don't really know what's going on. So you have to train at McDonald's. You'd feel the same way. You would come home exhausted, overwhelmed. Everything is new. The great thing about what you're doing is that you have unlimited potential to make as much money as you want. And I went, you're right. And if you have that mindset, I delegated as much as I possibly could with the things that I knew, A, I wasn't going to do well at all, and B, I wasn't going to do them at all. So I found my strengths and went with it. And then I found a way to delegate everything else out because I want to shake hands and kiss babies. I need to know how the whole operation works, but I wasn't interested in it. I wanted to get out there. So if you feel overwhelmed, just, you know, concentrate on what you do well and see if you can, and if you're on a team, it's going to be easier because you can delegate the things that you don't want to do that are going to tie you down to somebody else.
Right.
So take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And then we have LA.
Hello.
LA just joined our team.
Yes, team. And I just started too. I literally passed my exam, Thomas, in about a month ago. I applied and then I signed on with the Schmidt group. So everything's new to me too. Being on a team does help a lot. But it is overload. So I understand you're not the only one. Trust me.
Good.
But yeah, some of my priorities for 2021 would be nurturing my database and marketing, finding strategic ways that will set me apart from what everyone else is doing. Because my thing in my head is like, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I want to have my own thing that solidifies this is LA, your realtor. So social media is big for me. That's where most of my database is. So just learning how to structure that, as well as maintaining my time, like you said, Janine, making sure, you know, family things come first, do your things that you don't want to do right away in the morning, and then, you know, take time for your appointments with buyers and sellers, so that you're organized. So my main thing is being organized, getting my systems in order so I'm not all over the place. And that's really my main focus, especially just starting.
Good. I love it. Teresa. I know you're there, Teresa.
Are you talking to
Sorry,
me
not you.
again?
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Who is KW North Shore?
I think that they just monitor it. It's like,
Okay. Yeah, they're recording. Okay. Is that Avi Greenspan?
Yeah, it's Avi.
Hi, Avi.
Hey,
How are you?
pretty good.
Good. can you share with us what your one thing is for 2021?
Yeah, I think my one thing is going to be consistency and follow up. I guess that's two things, but they kind of go hand in hand.
Okay, yep, absolutely. Can you be more specific with that?
Whether it be, consistently sending out mailers to specific neighborhoods, every 2 weeks, or following up with additional emails to potential leads and making, second phone calls to people who maybe weren't on board for the first phone call.
Okay, so do you have a specific plan? Because again, that's great, but it's very big and ambiguous. Do you have a specific plan to follow up and to be on top of your database?
I guess not a specific day-by-day plan, no.
Okay, so that's really what you're going to want to lean into is what exactly you're going to be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to get to your goal. Do you have a goal as far as a unit goal for the year?
I've been working on figuring one out. I was leaning around the 12, one per month, but I kind of want to try to push myself to do a little bit more.
Okay, so I think everyone on this page, on this call, should have a very specific unit goal for the year. If you don't have one, make one. And, because you got to realize that about 35% of those may not close for whatever reason. So if your goal is to have 12 units, one per month close, you've got to pad that up by 35% because not all of those are going to come together. It may fall apart. I've had several fall apart on home inspections this year. So yeah, Jackie's waving, nodding, especially in this seller's market where buyers are just, they're competing with each other and they want to win and they get the house and they're so excited. And home inspection is a disaster and they may fall apart. So you have to prepare yourself that not everything is going to come together. So if you have 12 units for your goal, I would mentally say that, I like to pad it a little bit. It's almost like you have to move it to 24 units for the year. Not that 50% are going to fall apart, but, just give yourself that so you are prepared. So today I want to talk about objections. You're brand new or you've been into it for a little bit and you've had some closed transactions. If you haven't done any production yet, what are you afraid of as far as an objection? What one objection do you think you're going to get right away from someone when you're selling real estate? And I'm going to pick on Grady.
The first objection, I would say maybe financial hesitation. They think that they can commit to, or they think they want to, look for a property, between 250 and 275. Haven't talked to a lender. They talk to a lender and they realize that maybe they're a ballpark under that or a tier under that. I don't know. That's my guess.
Okay. So, really, that may not even be an objection because it's just going to be the fact. So I guess good thing that you brought up getting to a lender right away. Don't waste your time with anyone unless they've had a conversation with the lender. Period. The end. You're wasting your time. They may not be qualified. They may have to work on something on their credit. But even you need to have that conversation with the buyers. When you write an offer, you have to have a pre-approval letter. So get that objection eliminated right away. Listen, you guys, in order for us to move forward together in this process, I need for you to speak to a lender, and I'll need a pre-qualifying letter, because we may walk into the first house we see together and you may fall in love with it, but you're going to be in competition. So let's empower you right now. Let's take that big step and get it over with. Bridget, what's an objection that you think you're going to get? Anything?
I think maybe people just feel like it's a little uncertain right now with everything going on, and maybe they want to wait until this COVID business is over. I don't know, I'm just guessing.
Yep. So what would be a, what could we say to that? Anyone want to pipe in?
Maybe just how like the real estate market, show them the facts of how it's continuously going up. It's one of the safest places to invest your money right now. And with interest rates so low, you're basically giving money away to be renting when you could be building equity.
I love it. One of my favorite lines is, why are you paying someone else's mortgage?
I like that.
Pay your own. And at 2.8%, which we're kind of hovering right now, I mean, you can't get any better than this. We don't know what next year is going to bring as far as interest rates. This is the time when investors are buying up the properties. Be one of those people. Take advantage of this market. Yep. Celia, what do you think an objection would be for you?
Sorry. I think an objection would be perhaps that they think they don't need it. Like they are like, oh, I'm good for the money. Is that
Good, or as far as need what?
the pre-approval letter?
Okay. Yep. I think when I was new, I really struggled with having that conversation about getting pre-approved. I learned quickly after wasting a lot of time with a lot of people that they weren't serious enough to go and get pre-approved, or they couldn't afford it. So they didn't want to get pre-approved.
They're not willing to be like upfront about their financials. I think
Right.
they're ready to have that conversation.
So again, immediately you don't want to be one of those who's going to waste time, because I honestly feel that there are people out there that will try to figure out if you have a weak link, and they're going to be attracted to that, and they're going to try to maneuver their way into you and really never buy anything. Don't be that weak link.
I have had that happen to me. Like a lead wanted to see some houses, and I said, well, are you pre-approved? And she said no. And so I said, like because of COVID, the sellers are actually requiring a pre-approval letter for me to even book a showing. And so it took a while, and I think I scared her off at first when I talked about the pre-approval process. But then eventually she came around and asked me, oh, what was the name of your lender that you wanted me to get in touch with? So
Perfect. And you know what I say? Hey, you guys, it's a 15-minute phone call at best. I'm not going to know anything about your financial history. I really don't care to know. But it's just a conversation. They send you a pre-approval via email, and we're good to go. But we need to have that. And you just want to work with serious buyers. They may not be serious to buy in 3 months. It may even be, 6 months to a year. That's cool. I'm still connected with people I met 2 years ago in an open house, but they're pre-approved. I've already sent them to the lender. I'm going to work with you. You're going to work with me. You've got to do this step first. And it's hard when you get a lead to have that conversation. So I may meet with them and say, we'll look at, one property together, but, beyond that, we'll need a pre-approval. And it's for your own sake. I want you to be empowered when you find something that you really like, and you're going to have that pre-approval letter.
can I ask how you handle it if like they do go ahead with pre-approval and it doesn't go the way they wanted it to. And so maybe they say, I'm going to need to wait longer
Yep.
before I buy. How do you handle that conversation? And what do you do with that lead then? Like you put it in your sales pipeline?
Yep. That's happened. And they'll say, you know what, we met with Scott Halverson, who I love. And I've got a couple things on my credit report. It's going to take me about 3 to 6 months to get that cleared up. Awesome. I'll still have you set up on MLS. Let's have you get that taken care of. And then I put it on my calendar. And I just call them that week before and say, hey, what's going on? Are you guys ready? But I'll try to like just text them once in a while, just, how's it going? I keep in contact with them.
Okay.
Yep. And you're going to want to do that because once they're ready to go, you don't want them to reach out to someone else. Yep.
What about,
Yeah.
if a person says that they can easily establish a line of credit because they have 2 other homes and they're looking for another one, and the money's not an issue. And I've requested, I'm like, well, I still need to know the line of credit that you're approved for, so we know what we're shopping for in the price range. And he doesn't feel that it's necessary.
That's a good question. Do you know for sure that this person has 2 properties?
Yeah, I know he does, and he rents them out. And I do know that, but I don't know if they're fully paid for. He says one is fully paid, the other one has only a small balance on it, but he's not throwing out figures or anything.
And so he's purchased properties in the past. Yeah, I would still say to him, again, you don't want to poke the bear too much when somebody has a couple properties already, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're qualified to purchase another one. So I would just say, awesome. Can you send me something that states that you have equity in these homes?
Mm-hmm. I told him I still have to submit something with the with an offer.
Yeah, you have to show proof of funds, whether that's your bank account or whatever. You still have to show proof of funds when you write an offer.
Even on cash deals, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like, show me the money, show me that you have cash in the bank.
Okay, because that's exactly what I told him. I told him we'll begin shopping exactly as soon as you show me your statement of line of credit or something.
Right. Absolutely. Let's see. Who has not shared their objections? Oh, Thomas. Do you go by Tom or Thomas?
Either one.
Okay.
Mainly Tom.
Okay, Tom.
I think the objections that I'm going to reach are internal, self-created.
Yeah.
Like, well, they're not going to be interested, or, just getting over my own fears and prejudging others as far as their interest or their need for my services. I think my objections right now are going to be self-created.
Yeah. And I love how you said that, because that's usually the case. We self-create our own objections. Mine was, I was so fearful that somebody was going to ask me how long I've been in the business because it was a day. So my line was, Janine, how long you've been doing this? It seems like forever. So I never answered them. It works. I know somebody else has used this on here, Jackie. But we can create our own objections. We have to get out of our own way. That's just, that's the first part. Who else?
How about Janine, some objections being buyers signing buyer agency? Maybe we should speak to that a little bit.
Yep.
Some people ask, why do I need that? What is that for? Some people don't understand the full role of the agent, I think, and how real estate transactions are structured for payment. So maybe speak to that.
Perfect. So let's say you meet somebody and you're going to do a buyer consult, and I got to shut a blind. I'm sorry. Hold on. The sun is. Working from home. And honestly, I don't work with people that don't have buyer agency signed. So I'll sit down with them, kind of go over the market. I get to know them. I do 10% of the talking. I let them talk. I want to get to know them and what they're looking for and everything about them. And then I explain to them that how I work is that I work with clients and not customers. So in order for you to be my client, I need for you to sign a buyer agency agreement. And in the state of Wisconsin, if we do not have this agreement signed, then when I am showing properties, I represent the seller. So I can't give you opinion on price. You know, I can open up the door basically and show you the property, but that's where it stops. And I have a big mouth and I have a lot of opinions. So for my own personal liability, I need for you to sign that you're going to be working with me. If for any reason I am not communicating with you, this isn't a right fit, then I will terminate, and I will put that in the buyer agency agreement, that I will terminate this document. But that's how I work. And I have I've had one person say, I don't feel comfortable being tied to somebody and I'm not going to sign it. So guess what? I'm not working with them. I am really on it from the very beginning because I did waste a lot of time with a lot of buyers. Yep. Okay, Jackie, have you had any pullback from anyone signing buyer agency with you?
Not really. I mean, I haven't really even had to go as far as like, I'm not going to work with you unless I do this. Like, I literally just say like, oh, you want to see this house? Okay, the next step is I'm going to send you this buyer agency agreement. And I kind of just point out the bullet points of the important parts of it. And then they sign it. Like, and I'm not working with only, you know, first time home buyers, you know, it's just, so it's all across the board that I'm just like, this is the process. And maybe they're thinking that this is the new like COVID, like compliant process or something. I don't really know, but I haven't had really any problems with it signing. I have had someone be released from that buyer agency. They liked me, I think.
Of course they did. Freaking win it.
They were just getting, and I was happy to release them because someone was mentioning something about like showing someone like 1 million properties or, you know, whatever. And this was a client of mine that I was literally showing them high and low, like, I mean, couldn't decide if they wanted to be in a condo or a single family, if they wanted to be downtown, North Shore, you know, west over by Miller Park. I mean, it was literally all over. And I was going all over hell's green earth, showing them properties. And finally, she was just like, I love you to death, but I've been searching for 3 years on my own. Like, I think that I'm just going to go back to doing that. And I was like, yes.
Thank you.
So I was fine that she broke up with me, but yeah, I haven't really had a problem getting the buyer agencies thus far.
Good. And it's really important too that you explain buyer agency, because I've seen it on our team and outside of our team that you send it along with the offer to purchase. Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, you need to sign this. Or they sign it and you never really had a discussion about it. And then they're going to come back to you and say, I didn't even know what the heck I was signing.
Well,
So,
my question then is, because I have heard that some people do that on our team, and like Why? They're still gonna get paid. Like, I don't understand. Is it for if the deal falls through, or
Oh, why, what?
like why are they needing to sign it right before with the contract?
They shouldn't be. They should be signing it. I mean, ideally, you should be signing by your agency with your buyers when you do a buyer consultation,
Yeah.
you know,
And I
and
think that's just tough right now. And so, yeah.
it's tough, right? It is super tough right now. So if you were to get a lead from somebody and you talk to them on the phone, I would highly recommend, if you can, to Zoom with them and just say, you know, one of the first steps we're going to do is get you pre-approved if you're not already. Let's sign by your agency. I want to work for you. I, you know, can show you.
No, I did do that twice with cold leads from, Zillow, I guess, or, wherever, where we get our leads from with
Yep.
like that are super cold. And I did that with the phone consult and they were like, and then, then I think I talked to you or Molly about it and you're like, go show them one,
Yep.
let them see you. And, and it totally worked then. They were like, oh yeah, I'll sign that. That's in my inbox tonight then,
Yep.
and so that was totally fine. But so I haven't really been talking about it first conversations with my cold calls. Like I kind of have that be the first conversation in person when I'm showing them that first property. Like, if you want to see any more with me.
Right. You bring it along with you and just say, before, remember, I really can't say anything about this property other than here's the price.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't want to jam it down their throat.
And I feel like I was at first. And so I've kind of calmed down.
Got it. Yeah. I definitely bring it up and then I'll say, I'll be happy to show you a property. You have to kind of feel each other out too. And to be honest, you may not want to work with them. If they're not serious, like the person that you released from your buyer agency,
mm-hmm.
She was honest with you. She's not, I would say, an A buyer, A, B, C, A being priority. She's she's playing real estate.
I think I was like a hobby pastime for her, so
yeah,
it was really kind of, and, and that was my fault of, we've talked about it a lot before, but like setting your clients or customers up for expectations of like what this process is going to look like instead of them kind of guiding you through the process of, and that was my first mistake, which I've really thought of with every person going forward is I don't want to do again is I let them, tell me that we were going to see like 24 properties and I didn't guide that. And so I learned my lesson and yeah, that one, and we're on very good terms and stuff, but I learned a lot from that ex-client.
Right. And you know what? Feelings are going to be hurt. Your feelings are going to be hurt in this job. You're going to have your heart stomped on. Get over it. That's all I can say. My word is next. You're going to have a bad experience and it's going to bring you down to the bottom of the barrel. Just think of the word next and move on. Turn the page.
I do apologize. I have to leave because I have a 10:15 COVID test at the Market Center. So
I'll be there at 11:15.
Oh. Okay. Bye guys. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. Another objection. How about Avi? Do you have one?
Haven't really faced any objections quite yet.
Okay. Have you shown property or any of that?
Yeah, I'm working with one buyer right now.
Okay. Any objections that came with that one buyer? Any pullback?
No, not really. I mean, we had an offer that fell apart on inspection, unfortunately. But other than that, hasn't had too many issues.
Okay. How about Josie?
I'm here.
Objection? Any objections?
Not recently, no.
Okay. So let's think of
You
you.
froze.
Let's think of another objection being, all right, that we talked about buyer agency. You show them the perfect house, they love it. And now the objection is, I don't know, I think we should keep looking. It checked every single box. You walked into their perfect house.
I would just remind them of today's market, how homes are very slim. Market's very low and everything. There's multiple offers always being presented, and remind them that it checked off everything that they had wanted. Ask them, confirm, are you willing to walk away from this home and possibly losing it? And keep searching, or, put it back in their lap, remind them that this covers everything you wanted, and inventory's very slim out there.
Right. So, and this has happened quite a bit, I think, especially if you're working with first-time home buyers. They're afraid to move forward in writing that offer, and you just have to do the assumptive close. Hey guys, this has checked all the boxes. We have your pre-approval. Let's go over the terms of the offer, and I suggest we write one now, and we can submit it by noon. What do you think about that? I mean, just kind of keep them rolling along, because they may try to talk themselves out of it. Anyone working with any sellers right now or potential sellers?
I'm sorry, let me recap that. So you would go ahead and suggest putting an offer in at that point, even though that they had said that they might want to look at another place?
I would say, I would go back to, this is everything that you said you wanted. And I'm afraid that if we continue to look, we're going to come back to this one and it's going to be gone. So if this really does check all your boxes, let's get the offer going. I mean, sometimes they just need someone to kind of push them along,
Mhm.
and they'll say, you know what, you're right.
Okay.
I don't try to give them a whole lot of options, because when my buyer agency, when I sit down with somebody or I meet them at a house and I find out exactly what they're looking for, I will say, I should be able to find your house in the first 5 to 8 houses that we look at. And if I have not done that, then I am not listening to you. Then I haven't done my job. So I'm already putting that seed in them that she or he doesn't mess around. They're going to find that perfect house for me. And when she does, I'm going to be ready to go. So I always like to start with I have 3 or 4 to show somebody. I like to start out with the best one first, because they're going to compare everything to that best house and then kind of go down the road. And then they're going to go back to that first house and say, gosh, that first house was like the best. You know what? You're right. I think we should write an offer on that one. We should get going. You know, you have to like light a fire under them a little bit, and don't wait for them to say they want to write an offer. You suggest writing that offer, because if you wait for them, it may never happen. So be very proactive.
So what happens if they go ahead, they put the offer in, and then we submit it? And when we submit it, and on the other side, the seller has the opportunity to look at that, and by the time they accepted it, to submit back to me that they accepted that offer, that buyer calls me back and gets the cold feet.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
then they'll be like, well, I only put it in because, of your wording, because you highly suggest me, dumping in or, hitting this place.
Again, I go back to that consult that I've had with those buyers of how the whole process works. We write an offer, we send it over to the listing agent, and they submit it to the sellers. I mean, there is a process involved. So if they're not 100% on board, and it doesn't mean that you're pushing them to do something they don't want to do, because that's not your job, but to keep them excited about it is your job. And
Right.
it's going to be scary. And you're going to fall out of love with that house on many different areas of the transaction, but let's get the house first. Let's go in at a great price and just keep them excited about it. Communication is key.
Mhm.
I had one this year where they walked in, fell in love with the house, wrote an offer, got it accepted, and they called me the next day and said, Janine, we made a mistake. And we don't want to go through with the home inspection. So what am I going to do? Am I going to say, I mean, legally, they're bound to that offer, right? So I could wait until the home inspection and we can just create chaos and find all kinds of things wrong with the house and walk away. So what I did instead is I called the agent on the other side and I said, these guys have had a change of heart. We can go through with it and go through the home inspection, but I just want to make it as painless as possible for all parties. And that agent had a conversation with the seller and they said, we will release them. We want somebody that really wants the house.
Okay.
So
So it worked out in their favor.
it did.
Okay.
Am I working with those people anymore? No.
So how did you handle it after? Oh, other reasons?
Those were the people that they did not want to be tied to a Keller Williams agent for buyer agency, and they had been looking for 3 years.
Okay.
And honestly, it was fine. It's fine with me. You win some, you lose some.
Right. Okay.
Janine, so I can picture this happening a lot. They're all like hyped up. The house looks gorgeous. They write the offer and then they wake up and like panic. What can you say just to ease their concerns? Like, hey, everyone has this feeling.
Yep.
You're not alone. But it's it's gonna be okay. Like, what else can you say to just calm them down?
Yeah. So I tell them that that's most likely going to happen. Hey, you guys, we're so excited about writing this offer and I hope we get it. You may have a little bit of buyer's remorse once you get that accepted offer, and that is 100% normal. It's with any major purchase. I get it. It's scary. Look at the finish line. You're going to be super happy there. It's a great investment. It's the house that you've been talking about. It's the area that you like. And if they're emotional people, then I go back at them with analytics and the market analysis and, what a great deal this is and the interest rate. So I kind of don't go into the emotion with them. If they're extremely analytical people, then I go into them with emotion. So I kind of do the opposite to kind of keep them centered and that I have their back. But this isn't, I'm going to throw my fishing pole in, and if I get a fish, that's great, but I may not want it. No, this is a major purchase, and this is going to be amazing for you. And your job is to keep them excited and interested.
Janine?
Yeah.
I wanted to just comment on something you just said. When I was teaching writing, when we taught argumentative papers,
yeah,
the Greeks talk about logos, ethos, and pathos, which are the reasons why people do either they do it for logical reasons, they do it for ethical reasons, or they do it for emotional reasons. So I think just reaffirming their fears, depending on who they are, do I approach that from a logical standpoint of why they should be doing this, or is there some ethical reason why they should be doing it, or is there an emotional reason for doing it? And that determines on who the person is, obviously, or the people, who they are.
There you have it. There you have it. Give me another objection. What's another objection? What are you afraid of someone asking you or objecting to that you
Someone
didn't
that we're
have an
friends
answer?
with.
What's that?
We don't want to work with someone we're friends with.
Who else better to work with? Someone that has your back and knows you more than I do. You want a friend to be working for you. I mean, I am the person. I've got your back, and I'm professional. I'm not going to lead you down a wrong path. I have your, more than anybody else, I have your best interest in mind. You're not just a transaction. We're going to have a relationship forever, and I'm going to be here for you. And that's happened to me, where they'll say, oh my gosh, but you're our friend and I don't want it to like infringe on our relationship. I want to say it will definitely infringe on my relationship if you don't use me as your agent. Bye. No. But hey, who knows you better than I do? Right? So I've got your back. It's not a stranger. And I think too, some people need to hear friend-wise, you're going to get pre-approved. I am not going to know anything about your finances or, anything like that. That's separate. All I'm going to do is find you the perfect house and negotiate the best offer for you. And that's what I'm, great at. And you have 100% of me. So I think with friends too, I work even harder for them because I don't want them to have that feeling of, oh, they're my friend, I'll call them. No, I'm on them like more than anyone else because I have something to prove, especially when you start out. You got to prove to your friends. All right, what's an objection that you're afraid you're going to get and you don't know how to answer it? Somebody.
So I'm with Tom as far as most of my objections. I know are just between my ears. But I haven't been here in 30 years, so I don't know anyone, and no one knows me.
That could be good.
And well, but also.
Oh, I think.
Sorry.
Yep.
There was something on my mouse and I brushed it away. I feel like in Mequon, everyone has there's all these high visibility realtors, and like, I've never heard of you. Why would I trust you? Why would I go with you when I've got all these others that are high profile people?
Well, to be honest, some people don't want that high profile agent. And I would lean on you're working for Keller Williams and use their statistics from the market center, use those numbers, and it's okay that they don't know you. Now, the biggest hurdle you're going to have to overcome is how are you going to meet people? How are you going to generate business when you don't know anyone? We had an ALC clinic last week, and the guest speaker started fresh with his business because they had this booming business. They lost everything because of a hurricane. Long story short, they ended up moving into a new community where they did not know a single person, and they had to rebuild the business. So they didn't know anybody. Now, of course, COVID wasn't going on, but what they did is they joined just about everything they could possibly join. They joined a gym. They got involved in so many things, and that's what they leaned on. And it took a while. It took a year, but they started to create a huge database just from the people that they got to know. You have your parents that you can lean into, people that, how long have they lived in Mequon?
I don't know, 10, 15 years.
So they know people.
Right.
So I would actually start maybe, use your parents and, if they have lived there 15, 20 years, some of those people are probably going to think about selling their house.
Yeah.
So that's where I would start. There's all kinds of organizations, and I know it's really super difficult during COVID. I always do the alphabet exercise, starting with A to Z. Who do I know with A, business-wise? Acupuncturist, B, barber. I mean, literally making those connections and let everyone know that you're a real estate agent. Let everyone know. Give me another objection.
Is there a script for that, approaching people, like your elevator speech?
Yes.
Where could I find that?
Email me and I'll give it to you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Another great thing to do at the end of the year, which is right now, is making gratitude calls. And they're so easy. And it doesn't have to be here, in Milwaukee, but just picking up the phone and calling your friends, anyone that's in your database, and just saying hi and say, you know what, just want to call, say hi, and I'm grateful that you're my friend, or I'm grateful that I got to know you this year. And I just wanted to tell you that, and just to remind you that I'm in real estate. If you need anything, I'm happy to help. If you know of anyone that needs real estate needs, please send them my information. But I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate you. That is so easy to do and takes 2 minutes. If you've done business with anybody, as far as a co-broke, I call them at the end of the year and thank them for a great transaction. But gratitude calls are really nice to make, and you're touching them. So if you can do that this week, next week, around Thanksgiving, do that. Give me another objection. Come on.
I feel like in Tosa,
What's that?
I feel like in Tosa, everyone's like firefly, firefly. And is kind of newer to Tosa-ish, What about that? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yep. So we had that when we started on the North Shore, and it was another broker everywhere, and they never really heard of Keller Williams. We just sold ourselves on ourselves, and first of all, we're an international company. We syndicate all over the United States, hundreds and hundreds of websites. So, as far as a seller, your listing is going to go further with Keller Williams. As far as if I'm a buyer's agent, we have, hundreds of people that work for Keller Williams in Metro Milwaukee, and we share all information. So we know things that are coming up on the market before anyone else does, because we network within ourselves. We share things that are coming up with each other at our meetings. So I'm going to know things faster than anybody else. And I think that's what's important to you, right, Mrs. Buyer? Is that you're going to get information about properties before anyone else? Yes. Of course.
What about listing?
Yeah. So yeah, listings, again, I would go to the fact we're international company. I will immediately market your house to not just the public, but all of the hundreds of agents that are in my company right now. And it's a phone call away and an email. I will let everyone know that your house is coming on the market, and I'm going to build up that momentum before you even hit delayed. and I'm going to sell your house for more. So I think what Firefly has a tendency to do is, you know, they may underlist a property where they get like 25 offers, but where they actually sell at could even be more if it were listed in a different way. So I just go in about what Keller Williams can do for you. Yeah,
Just a random question, if I can ask.
yeah.
You mentioned delayed. Not all listings start in delayed, correct? Like,
Correct.
so if I don't want to get off topic, but I'm just curious how like some people decide to put them in delayed and some people just throw them out there.
Yep. Sorry, that was my cat. We put everything in delayed on our team for a reason. It works. You can put your listings in delayed for up to 3 weeks prior to going on the market. And the reason that we do it is, first of all, if we go to a listing appointment and they'll say, let's say they're not really ready. I mean, like, my God, they've got stuff all over the place. There's painting to be done. Bring your phone with you, look at the calendar, and yes, in 3 weeks, you could potentially be ready to go on the market. I want to get that listing signed immediately. I am not leaving that house. I'm not removing myself from the chair unless I have that listing signed. That's kind of like my mental thing, like not leaving. So I will put you in delayed for 3 weeks. And the reason for that being is we can, you know, seller can do everything they need to do to get that house ready within 3 weeks, hopefully. And it gives every agent and the buyers that they're working with the opportunity to prepare themselves to be there for that first day of showings. So we put it in delayed, meaning no one can see the property. You cannot show it. It's just delayed, meaning coming soon, because somebody just asked me that. And then you have it photographed and you get your marketing ready. But typically how our team works it goes live on a Thursday. So we put it in delayed, you know, sometimes up to 3 weeks, goes live on a Thursday. We have an open house Thursday night and then Saturday and Sunday. So you can see it in MLS that these open houses are occurring. And then it really kind of puts the pressure on that buyer. Oh my God, they're having an open house Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and they walked in on Thursday morning and they fell in love with it. You're going to get more offers, or you're going to get higher offers that way. And we use that to call agents, email agents. Do you see this new delayed listing? That's your opportunity to sell it. And Firefly doesn't do that a whole lot. So
I did have one more objection if we did have time. I'm sorry if that's cutting the last question short. But how do you, like, you know, this obviously is a very emotional process. And let's say you're writing the offer and then all of a sudden buyers' parents come in and, well, when we bought our house, 25 years ago, we didn't have to, do this. And, well, we think that it should be done this way. Well, how do you get that outside voice, that third party that might be in that buyer's ear or even the seller's ear for that matter to let you do your job without, kicking, telling them to kick rocks?
Yeah, parents are deal killers. So, they will come in and they could kill a deal because they're protective of their kids. But things are so different now. And I think that's your job to educate all parties of how the system works and how the transaction works. It's not the same as it was 25 years ago. In fact, it's not even the same as it was 2 years ago. So here is the process. Now, do you guys have a clear picture of how the buying process works? And are you comfortable sharing that process to a potential buyer? Just sit down with them and explain to them from contract to close how they maneuver through that transaction?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Now with that, would you invite the parents, maybe if you were doing it, like explaining it to them on the Zoom call, for instance, you have those troubled parents, would you maybe invite them in on the Zoom call then, or would you do it something
Yeah,
separate with them, or?
I would let your buyers kind of steer that conversation. They may not want their parents to be involved, but the parents want to be involved. I would kind of lean into your buyers to see where they're at and maybe have the conversation with your buyers. Do you want me to invite your parents into this Zoom meeting? Would that be a benefit to you? Because it might not be. They may have that mindset of, I actually don't want my parents involved. So, I think where the parents come in that I have seen is when the home has been accepted and then the parents come in during home inspection. And that can be a deal killer right there.
That happened to me with my in-laws popped in and I was like, and they were saying all horrible things about the house we were gonna buy.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's another conversation of, you don't want to get in that argument of state with the parents. I kind of let them do them. And just look at the facts. Look at the facts at the home inspection report once you get it, and then kind of go over, what's a defect, what's a safety hazard, and what really can be done at a later time. So I try to engage the parents if they're there because they're protecting, but I'm not overly engaging, if you know what I mean. And those parents, be prepared, will ask you a lot of tough questions that your buyers probably didn't think of. So just be prepared. And if you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know the answer. I'll find out. I was just at a home inspection about a month ago, and these buyers are not first-time home buyers. They're pretty savvy, but the parents came and the dad started asking me these questions I didn't know the answers to. Do you have a survey of the property? No. Are those trees that are dead, are they on the property? Or I'm like, oh my God, so yeah. And I said, you know what? I don't know, and I will find out. So I was on the phone. I found out the answers. My buyers could have cared less. They didn't, they're like, Dad, whatever, but he could have been an influence. So I'm going to find out. I'm not going to do any eye rolling outwardly, but I'm going to get those answers. Because you know what? Those parents might be my clients too.
What about Janine? Zillow says.
Okay, yeah. Zillow is extremely inaccurate. We don't even look at Zillow. When I come to price a home to show, I don't even look at Zillow. In fact, the Zillow, Zillow himself, I think his listing sold for it was 800,000 less than his estimate. So it's a lot of data that is above ground, below ground data that's all mixed in with the comps. So it really is inaccurate. But we all love it because it's very easy to get to. But that's about it. Yeah. I've had this question. I don't really want to sign buyer agency right away. I'll sign it when I find the house I want to purchase. What do you say about that?
I guess kind of back to your point about I can't really give you any opinions or other pertinent details about the home unless I have this. Otherwise, I'm acting for the seller. See, I don't think that anyone will understand that then I'm acting for the seller. It was something that when I was studying and to take the test, I was like, what? I never knew this. And I've bought and sold a couple of times. I don't even remember signing the buyer agency agreement. And I've, I don't know.
Yeah, I always say that's awesome. Let's go and take a look at a couple homes, and I kind of leave it at that. I bring it with me because sure enough, they're going to say, well, what do you think about the price? Sign this. You guys, I cannot give you any information until you sign this. Listen, if you want out of this contract for whatever reason before we write an offer, let me know and I will terminate it. In fact, I will write it in here. But I legally represent the seller at this point. And then it's not a big deal. And we charge $295 when they sign buyer agency. And I'll say the good news is you don't pay me until we close. It comes out of your closing statement. And
Janine?
yeah, go ahead.
So I'm doing this from memory because I don't have the form memorized, but doesn't it show the different responsibilities to a customer and those to a client right there in the form? You can say, well, if you don't sign this, this is what I can do for you. But if you do sign it, this is all the other benefits you can get. And I think it's right there in black and white. I think that's a good way to overcome that.
It is, exactly. And they won't read it anyway. So I think one of the objections some of the objections that we get is, let's say we're going to go list a house. You know what? Loved everything about you, Mary. But we still have 3 other agents that we want to interview. So thank you for your time and we'll get back to you. So then I narrow down, is there anything that we discussed today that you feel uncomfortable with or you have any objections to? No. Then awesome. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and sign the paperwork? And, if you want to go ahead and interview those other agents, that's fine. If not, I would be more than happy to contact them and let them know that they still have an opportunity to sell your house. And they can bring the buyer to your home, but I have listed the home today. And you'd be surprised. I've never had to call an agent, but they'll say, okay. If there isn't anything that you have said that they object to, then you're on terms with price and timing and all of that. Why shouldn't they list with you? I think you're going to get more objections on the listing side than you are on the buyer side. But as a new agent, you're probably going to be working with buyers first. So, working with objections, just getting buyer agency signed is going to be your first objection, I would imagine. Thursday, we do not have class because it's Thanksgiving. The following Thursday, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to do a buyer presentation. So you can see how when we meet with a buyer, what that looks like and what we discuss. So I'm going to do a mock buyer presentation with Connie, who's from Lake Country, and we're going to roll out how we work with buyers. So then you guys will feel empowered when you've got that buyer in your hand, how you're going to get them to work with you all the way through closing. How's that sound?
Sounds good. I just had one quick question with that buyer agency. Would you just say leverage would be like the main thing to like get into their heads, like signing that, or is there like one other like common element you would say besides leverage, like, being on the seller side or, working for the seller if they're just your customer?
Yeah. So I honestly, I don't really have a huge conversation about buyer agency. I come from the mindset that it's just something that you've got to do. So I don't really lean on it too much because then it kind of creates a lot of questions in their mind. So it's almost as if it's a given. Hey, you guys, when you buy a property in the state of Wisconsin, if you want to be represented, you need to have a buyer agency agreement. So here it is. This means I work for you and I can give you all the information, stats, negotiate on your behalf. If you just want to sign this, then we can get going. Okay.
Yeah, understood.
You know, but I think if you just like make a big deal about it, then they're going to think it's a big deal. Just in order for me to work with you moving forward, let's get this signed and let's go out and find some properties and find your dream house.
Janine, do you have that pre-filled out ahead of time, or do you fill that out with them, or do you have it? Is it all?
Ideally, you want that filled out before you go and look at properties. I have the conversation about it. I am not necessarily, I mean, in a perfect world, you would have them sign it. But if you just met somebody, are they going to sign a buyer agency with you right away? Maybe not. So kind of show them what it looks like, what that means to them. Go and show them a couple houses and bring it with you.
Gotcha.
Bring it with you and say, hey guys, remember I work for the seller until we get this signed. I know it's crazy, but that's how the state of Wisconsin is set up. And I will have it right in here in writing that if at any time prior to purchasing a property, you would, like to terminate this, I certainly will. But I know you won't. We're going to get along and we're going to communicate well, and we'll move on our merry way. But I think if they know they have an out, perfect.
Question. If I remember from my testing material, do you as with a seller agency license, do you have the ability to break a contract like that? I mean, if they've signed it, you're saying that you would come back and basically tear it up and they could go their merry way.
Yep.
But I remember with my study material that you don't have as just a salesperson don't have the authority to do that, do I?
What we do is, like on our team, we have that buyer email us and say we would like to terminate our buyer agency contract, and Jay is our broker on our team. We terminate it. It's a service contract. I am not going to hold you to something that you don't want to be held to. It's not going to be a win for you or for me. So I want to give you 100% satisfaction. And if for any reason you are not satisfied, we will terminate the service contract. I met somebody at an open house a couple years ago, and I have a great open house script, and they said they were working with another agent. So I completely, that's great. I'm awesome. They said they had buyer agency with this particular agent. Long story short, about 2 months later, this couple called me and they said, we are not happy with their real estate agent, and we would like to terminate our contract with that person. And I said, that is between you and that agent and that broker. So they contacted me about a week after that with an email from the broker stating that they have been released from their buyer agency agreement. So therefore they are free to go. Because that broker has the mindset of, I'm not going to hold them to an agent if they're not happy. So that's kind of how we work. Now, if they didn't terminate that buyer agency agreement and I sold them a house, that agent could come back and try to get my commission. So they would have to prove, the buyers would have to prove that that agent was negligent, didn't return phone calls, didn't respond to emails. So I want some type of proof of termination. But I think any broker is not going to fight that. But they don't tell you it's a service agreement. It can be broken.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, guys, I will see you in 2 weeks. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you, guys.